everyone, welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis by LawSikho. So there is only one article that we'll be discussing today at length. Otherwise, all the other articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express were mostly repetitive in nature. So the article that we'll be discussing today is Indus Water Treaty at 60. Why there is a need to give it a fresh look. So on 19 September today, we have completed 60 years to have come into the Indus Water Treaty with Pakistan. And at this time, the author herein tries to tell us that why do we need to overhaul or re-look into the Indus Water Treaty, and what are the recent trends which should be followed and according to which the treaty should be revised. Second point is news in flash, wherein we'll be discussing the pointer and crisp news articles. But before we get into the discussion, let's have a look at the LawSikho courses that we have for you. So we have the Lord of the Courses, which is the Judiciary Test Prep course. If you're also preparing for Judicial Services exam, you can enroll yourself into this course. The link is there in the description box, and you can download free study material for yourself as well. Then we have various other courses as well, like for CLAT, All India Bar exam, and also we are shortly coming up with UPSC Law Optional exam course as well. So you can have a look at that too. Now let's see that what is the multiple choice question for the day. Which country is the largest producer of bamboo? First, China. Second, India. Third, Myanmar. Or fourth, Peru. So if you know the answer to this question, do jot it down in the comment section below. Then let's see that what is the descriptive question for the day. It is argued that a review of the Indus Water Treaty could prove to be a double-edged sword for India. Discuss why. So now once we're done with today's discussion, you'll surely be able to answer this question. With this, let's start the Indus Water Treaty that we have. So today is the 60th anniversary of the Indus Water Treaty between India and Pakistan. Now, as we know that this area is India, as we discussed that this area is a part of this entire is the Pak occupied Kashmir, and this is the Gilgit-Baltistan area, which Pakistan is saying that it would turn Gilgit-Baltistan area into a full-fledged province. This side is Pakistan, and here we are India. So as we know that Indus River has been one of the most prominent rivers, not only in the Indian and Pakistan history, but for the whole world as well, because the Indus Valley civilization, which is considered to be one of the best civilizations that ever existed in the history, it was also through the banks of the Indus River only. And it was propagated to further areas as well, but the main civilization was concentrated near the Indus River alone. And it was the Indus River only that actually made this civilization possible. And thus Indus River has historical as well as various economical importance attached to it as well. So if we talk about the Indus Water Treaty, so there were 6 major rivers. So out of those, 3 went to the Pakistan and 3 were given to the India through the treaty. So when we talk about the Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, so the method with which I have tried to learn it is through ICJ, like we have the International Court of Justice. So India and Pakistan are also, they have several times been into the area of International Court of Justice. And even, if you remember the very latest case of, it was related to prisoners of war as well. That was related to Kulbhushan Jadhav case. So in that also, India and Pakistan had gone to ICJ, that is the International Court of Justice, and this is how I also try to remember it. So with ICJ, all the rivers from I, C and J, that is Indus, Chenab and Jhelum, were given to Pakistan, whereas Ravi, Satluj and Beas came to the Indian side. So this was how the Indus Water Treaty had segregated the 6 major rivers of the Indus Valley. So let's now see in detail as to what was the treaty. The Indus River system was divided into 2 halves, as we just studied. The ICJ, which was Indus, Chenab and Jhelum, went to Pakistan, whereas the SRB, that is the Satluj, Ravi and Beas, went to India. So in the treaty, India conceded, or we said it allowed to give, or it gave away 80.52% of the aggregate water supply in the Indus system to Pakistan. So this was also, one of the areas where generosity and courteousness of India can be seen, that India had actually, because India already, in water resources, at least if we talk about northern India, India has good resources of water thanks to Ganga and Jamuna river basin, and in the northeast thanks to the Brahmaputra. Though yes, in the southern area, there are a bit of disputes that are attached, the interstate water disputes that are attached regarding the Krishna and Kaveri as well. But yes, for the northern part, if we talk about, India has been endowed with good resources of water, and maybe keeping that in mind, India had given 80%, approximately 80%, more than even 80% of the water supply in the Indus system to Pakistan, seeing the needs of the Pakistani population. And then also, India gave rupees 83 crore. Just imagine, that was also in pound sterling, and also at the time of Indus Water Treaty, it was long back, like 60 years back. India gave 83 crore pound sterling to Pakistan, and it was done in order to build the replacement canals that it had to build now in the ICJ, that is the Indus Chenab and Chelab system. So India conceded its upper riparian position on the western rivers and got complete rights on the eastern rivers. So what India did was that on the western rivers, so these basically are known as the western rivers because they had gone to, as you can see here, they had gone to western side of the map, and these Ravi, Satluj, yes, and Beas, they are called as the eastern rivers because they came to towards the eastern side of the map. So India actually gave away, riparian simply means, the area. So the upper area position or the upper position on the western rivers were given to Pakistan because obviously the western rivers were given to them. And then India got complete rights on the eastern rivers now. Now let's understand that what is the significance of the Indus system to India. So if we talk about in particular to India, what is the significance of this IWT, which is the Indus Water Treaty? Firstly, it is critical for India's development plan, and specifically if we talk about the agricultural plans. Now, it proposed Rajasthan Canal and Bhakra Dam. So, in absence of these, it could affect the India's food production. Now, as we know that Punjab and Rajasthan are highly, they are the water that is provided in these two states is done majorly through dams. One of those is the Bhakra Dam, and majorly otherwise through the canals. So also we know that the Indira Gandhi canal system also, and even the Rajasthan canal system, which is there in Rajasthan itself, and they play a very, very important role in providing water to the areas, the farthest areas that are actually not naturally supplied with water. Now just imagine that India did not really have this water only to provide those canals and dams alone. So what could have been the situation of agriculture in the states of Punjab and Rajasthan? Obviously, the agriculture could not have been prospered if the water wasn't there, and that is why the Indus system or the Indus water coming through these canals in Bhakra Dam are very critical for India's development plan and specifically for the agriculture in the states of Rajasthan and Punjab. Secondly, now here, why should we renegotiate the treaty? So again, some terms are now given here as to why India should actually focus on, overhauling or having another look or re-looking upon the very decisions that were taken under the Indus Water Treaty back 60 years ago. Firstly, unfinished business. So Pakistani leadership has raised questions of the technical conformity of Indian projects in the river. So as we now know that the control of the western rivers was given to to Pakistan, and of the eastern rivers was given to India. But still, Pakistan, many times it comes up with such contentions that India is trying to control the water that is flowing towards Pakistan, so on and so forth. So in a way, political tensions are growing very severely, and that is why they are really wary of the technical conformity that India is developing through the projects in the river, and that is why India should, give a stronger position of itself on these rivers. Secondly, increased tension in India-Pakistan relationship. So firstly, as we know that various attacks, terrorist attacks have been made by Pakistan, and at least, India has a lot of proofs to give away, and many a times it has come directly on the international scale as well, that Pakistan was the one behind various terrorist attacks in India. Like for example, the attack on the Indian Parliament in 2001, then we all know the Mumbai attack, which was on the Taj Hotel in 2008, Uri 2016, and Pulwama, which was just recently in 2019. So due to these, obviously, when you are trying to put down another country through such terrorist and inhuman attacks, obviously the other country will not be willing to have a very fair treaty along with you. But still, India has chosen to be very fair in the terms that it had agreed to in the Indus Water Treaty. Now these instances could could be cited by India to withdraw from the Indus Water Treaty as per the Vienna Convention of the Law of Treaties. We'll discuss upon this also in the next. But India, being one of the most friendly nations in the world and known to be very ethical in its functioning, even if we talk about the international treaties, India many a times, it got incited to actually come out of this Indus Water Treaty as well, and to put down any kind of sharing of water with Pakistan. But then again, India, being a very ethical nation, did not really choose to do so. Just, if you see in this map here, as you know, that Indus, it is flowing right from here to here. So in a way, this area is the upper area, and most of the rivers, they're flowing from this side and then they're moving towards the west. So in a way, the upper portions are still under the control of India, and if India would want, it can build up dams over here and would not allow any water to flow towards Pakistan. But that India does not really choose to do. Then Article 12 of the Indus Water Treaty provided that the treaty may be modified from time to time, but obviously this is the Article 12, which says that obviously it should be ratified by both the parties and should be agreed upon by both India and Pakistan. Now let's see that what are the grounds for terminating a treaty under the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. Firstly, material breach of a bilateral treaty. So Article 60 says that if any of the parties has resulted into a material breach of the bilateral treaty, then a treaty may be terminated. Secondly, impossibility of performance, just like that we have under Section 53 of the Indian Contract Act, which is Article 61 of the Vienna Convention, wherein if the performance of any contract or the treaty becomes impossible by nature, like for example, like if we talk about the Indus Water Treaty alone, and if in some wildest of our imaginations, the water of this entire river system dries up. So obviously, it was all about sharing of water in this treaty. And if water exists no more, so obviously the performance of this contract or this treaty would not be possible in the real sense. And that would amount to impossibility of performance. Then fundamental change in the circumstances, Article 62. So if the circumstances not unforeseen by the parties at the time of conclusion, like if we take example of the terrorist attacks that have been taken up by Pakistan on India. So there, if you move towards legal resort as well, India can put down this Indus Water Treaty, but only it is not choosing to do so due to its good nature at the international level. And then finally, emergence of a new peremptory norm. So this actually is almost similar to the what we call as the use cautions, the idea or the principle of use cautions that we have under the international law, that if you are a party to some international convention or an international body or anything, and you've ratified to a particular thing, and you become a ratified party to any contention, so you must take it as a principle and must try to move in line with it. So if there is something that is some new in a way, something new has emerged, and now this norm is not being followed or cannot be followed, then also this treaty can be called off. So this was all for today. Let's discuss what do we have for news in flash. Firstly, Rajya Sabha passed bill to slash salaries of MPs. So the bill seeks to reduce the salaries of the member of parliaments by 30% for a year in order to meet the exigencies arising out of COVID-19 pandemic. And as we know that very recently, the MP LAD, which is the member of parliament local area development fund that is given to the member of parliaments, has also been cut down for next 2 years. And now another step has been taken in this regard, that 30% of their salaries would also be slashed down. So earlier this week, the Salary, Allowances and Pensions of Members of Parliament Amendment Bill 2020 was passed by the Lok Sabha. So this is the name of this bill, which would now become an act, hopefully, because now Rajya Sabha has also passed it. Let's see if it gets an assent from the president as well. And secondly, World Bamboo Day. 18th September is celebrated as the World Bamboo Day every year to increase awareness regarding conserving and promoting the bamboo industry. The World Bamboo Organization was set up to bring the potential of bamboo to bring the potential of bamboo to a more elevated exposure. So according to the State of Environment Report 2018, India is the world's second largest cultivator. So we should keep this in mind. In India, the northeastern area in India is the primary producer of bamboo. So it is the second largest cultivator of bamboo after China, with approximately 136 species and 23 genera spread over 13.96 million hectares of land. So the entire facts need not be remembered, just that we have approximately 136 species of bamboo, and around 50% of the bamboo species are in the northern or mostly in the eastern or northeastern India. So in India, Bamboo is also called as the poor man's timber and also green gold, because it is said in northeastern area of India that bamboo is considered to be one of those gifts from the nature that serve or give service from birth to the death of a person, and it is very nutritious. The bamboo grass is very nutritious. The bamboo wood is highly used, and also it is very cheap if considered to be a resort to a poor man. That is why it is known as the poor man's timber and also green gold, due to its high utility. So this was all for today. We hope it was a good session for you. Stay tuned with LawSikho for such more sessions to come. Thank you so much.